Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is on a visit to Ladakh, a day after India's foreign ministry categorically said no territory had been ceded in the region. The fire on board the US Navy's amphibious assault ship USS Bonhomme Richard at San Diego Naval Base has finally been put out. Japan has inducted its first Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey tiltrotor aircraft, and Saudi Arabia has announced a new defense exhibition. Thank God it's Friday, the 17th of July. I'm Saurabh Joshi and you're listening to StratPost Daily. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh landed in Leh in Ladakh this morning on a 2-day visit to forward areas to review the situation at the borders and interact with troops deployed in the region. This comes after India's Ministry of External Affairs denied any change in India's position on the line of control in eastern Ladakh. Here's what Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Anurag Shrivastava said on Thursday.
The disengagement process currently underway in the western sector is specifically aimed at addressing face-off situations and close-up deployments of troops along the LAC. It is based on an understanding between senior military commanders. Both sides have agreed at specific points to redeploy towards their regular posts on their respective sides of the LAC. These are mutually agreed reciprocal actions to be taken by both sides. And as I have already conveyed, it is an ongoing process. This mutual redeployment should not be misrepresented. There is absolutely no change with respect to India's position on the line of actual control. We are fully committed to observing and respecting the LAC. Any unilateral attempts to change the status quo along the LAC are not acceptable.
The fire on board the USS Bonhomme Richard at San Diego Naval Base has finally been put out after 4 days, said the US Navy. All firefighters and crew had to be evacuated from the 40,000-ton light aircraft carrier late on Wednesday after the ship began listing to the port side. Senior Navy officers said the ship is now stable and survivable, but whether it is put back in service will depend on the damage assessment and cost of repairs. The commander of Expeditionary Strike Group 3, Rear Admiral Philip Sobek, said on Thursday that the ship can be repaired. Whether or not it will be repaired, that will be determined. The Bonhomme Richard caught fire on Sunday morning while it was docked for maintenance, repairs and upgrades to configure it to operate the F-35B fighter. Japan has officially become the second operator of the Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey tiltrotor aircraft, with the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force accepting the aircraft into service last week. The first two aircraft were delivered to Japan in May this year, with the Japanese V-22 having a unique configuration with a Japanese-specific communication system, according to a statement from Bell. The US approved the sale of 17 MV-22 aircraft to Japan for $3 billion in 2015, with an initial order for 5 aircraft. Japan plans to operate the MV-22 from its Izumo-class helicopter-destroyer aircraft carriers, which will also be operating Japan's F-35B fighters. The US cleared the sale of 42 of the short takeoff and vertical landing aircraft last week. The US also announced a possible sale of 8 V-22 Osprey tiltrotor aircraft to Indonesia for $2 billion last week. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has announced a new defense trade exhibition. The first World Defense Show will be held at Riyadh in March of 2022. Former CEO of the Farnborough Airshow, Sean Ormerod, has been hired to run the show, which the Saudi Arabian General Authority for Military Industries said will take place every 2 years. Saudi Arabia is one of the largest arms importers in the world and has shown a new focus in recent years towards setting up a domestic defense industry. The International Defense Exhibition, or IDEX, held in Abu Dhabi, is the region's largest defense exhibition, with the next one due to be held in February. All defense, aviation and maritime exhibitions have been cancelled in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And although shows like Aero India in Bangalore are still on for now, beginning February next year, whether these shows actually take place and the level of participation will depend on how each country and region manages the pandemic over the coming months. regional rates of infection, travel restrictions, air bubbles, and so on. So a lot of uncertainty about these events for the time being. That's it for today. Have a great weekend.